So the Browns sat pat again at every spot in the draft. And it all started with sticking right at 54 in the second round. And we got there. And the first player the Browns took, and this is going to be kind of a theme for some of these players throughout the show, but it is a player that we mocked to the Browns in a few of our mock drafts. It's a guy the Browns met with a couple different times. They had their sights set on him, and it just felt like the Browns had sincere, genuine interest in selecting Michael Hall Jr., the defensive tackle from Ohio State. Yes, that's right, Buckeye Nation. We get another Buckeye added to this team, which I always freaking love to do. So with Michael Hall, as we go through this, I mentioned this Friday night, yes, interior defensive lineman, defensive tackle is the listed position, but let's think of Michael Hall more as defensive line in general, because Michael Hall will most likely be utilized across the entire defensive line, outside, inside, what have you. I don't think he's going to be restricted exclusively on the interior. Now, that's going to be primary, I'm sure, but he is a versatile athlete. So let's break down Michael Hall Jr. So he's 6'3", 290 pounds, and he is just 20 years old. So a young prospect. Andrew Berry gets his guy. And the thing with Michael Hall is he's played a lot of college snaps, but he's only 20 years old. So you know that this guy was able to dominate opposing offensive linemen in a major conference at a major program at a young age. So that's a really, really good sign for his future production in the NFL. Michael Hall is from Streetsboro, Ohio, so he's a hometown kid. The Browns brought him back home to Cleveland. He is excited to be here. You guys heard him in the open at the beginning of the show. And he spent 2 years as a starter at Ohio State. He earned he was named two-time third-team All-Big Ten, so not second or first team, but still, as a defensive interior guy in the Big Ten, not a lot of pass rush stats and things like that are really coming from the interior D-line, I would imagine, at the college level. So he's still getting, third-team All-Big Ten honors. 2022, he had just 7 hurries, but he did have 5 sacks on the season. And just now in 2023, his sacks went down to just 1.5 sacks on the season, but his quarterback hurries went from 7 to 22. So he really increased his pressure rate against the quarterback. In 2023, however, now this is the big one that I was looking for. I went searching for this stat because I thought, and I didn't know the stat ahead of time, but I thought this I'm sure this stat is pretty high for Mike Hall. And it was. Michael Hall had the second highest pass rush win rate among all defensive tackles in the entire nation, 18.2%. Now, yes, I know some people out there, I know how haters and some of you guys feel about pass rush win rate, but if you're listening to this show and you don't like that stat, I am sorry. I am very, very sorry to tell you the NFL loves that stat. The NFL is very big on pass rush win rate because the NFL, like us, we understand that just because you're rushing the passer does not mean it's always going to result in a sack. It's not always going to result in a QB hit. It's not always going to result in something that you can pull up a box score and say, yes, this guy led the team in this stat or this stat, because an ESPN box score has like 4 categories to look at. That's it. Pass rush win rate. I'm telling you, this shows how effective a player is at impacting the quarterback, impacting an offensive play. And Mike Hall, second highest pass rush win rate in the entire nation, 18.2%. Dude gets after the quarterback just because, again, we talk about this with Miles. And if you don't like this stat, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to keep talking about it because it freaking matters. Just because you don't put the quarterback on his back, or maybe you do, but he's already gotten rid of the ball, so it doesn't count as a sack, so it doesn't go in the box score. You are affecting that play. You might be making the quarterback ditch the ball, throw it away, dirt the ball, something. Who knows what your pass rush win is leading to? But I would say 99.9% of the time, it leads to something positive. So keep that in mind as we go through some of this as well. Now, again, all these prospects are going to have pros, and they're all going to have cons. Every prospect, every player who's ever come in the NFL has those. Michael Hall, not the best run defender. He's undersized. He's not Siaki Ika. He's not 375 pounds or whatever Ika came in as last year. He's 290. He's slight. He's slimmer. He's leaner. The dude has athleticism. He's explosive, but he's not the best run defender. That's not his game. So I've used NFL draft prospect profiles for a lot of this information I'm going to give you guys today. And we're going to be talking from Draft Buzz Scouting, which is another scouting resource that I really, really do like. So Draft Buzz Scouting rated Michael Hall 77% against the run, which isn't bad. I mean, 77, yeah, okay. Again, he's not a run defender, so you kind of expect that. But they gave him a 93% grade in pass rush. That is very high, and that is exactly why the Browns used their second-round pick on Mike Hall Jr. So as I mentioned, from his NFL draft prospect profile, his production score was just a 64, 14th overall at the defensive tackle position, and that goes back to the stats I listed earlier. Not a lot of counting stats, not a lot of tackles, not a lot of sacks this year in 2023, but his athleticism score was up at 86. That was third best among all the defensive tackles in this draft class. He is the 6th overall ranked defensive tackle. The Browns get him down at 54. I thought that was great value. They say he's twitchy to knock blockers off balance. He's got sudden feet and active hands to whip guards, immediate sub-rush potential as a 3 technique and a 1-gap scheme. Pros about Mike Hall. He was dominant against Senior Bowl competition. Corkscrews post leg into the ground for added double-team anchor. Impressive ability to absorb contact and play off the block. Beats single blocks with slide step and arm over move. Attacks one edge while setting up counter to the other in his rush. And active hands and short area quickness bring pressure to the pocket. That's what the Browns are looking for. Now, the weaknesses for Mike Hall. Undersized inside, could wear down against larger NFL-sized offensive linemen. He works overtime to neutralize a block but struggles to shed it. Gives early ground to inline power in the run game. Again, run defense, not his strength. Lower body tightness prohibits sharp cornering at the top of his rush and knocked off the rush path by firm punch or redirections. So like I said, you take the pros with the cons with a lot of these prospects. Nobody's going to have a perfect profile. But if you look at Draft Buzz scouting summary for Michael Hall, his trajectory at Ohio State underlines a defender on the rise, bringing to the table an intriguing mix of quickness, power, and technique. His ability to explode off the snap and disrupt plays in the backfield has made him a nuisance for offensive lines, showcasing the high motor and pass rush versatility coveted by NFL teams. His developmental arc, however, isn't without its hurdles. His tweener size and occasional lapses in block recognition signal a need for a tailored role at the next level, potentially as a 3 technique in a 4-3 scheme or an interior presence in a hybrid defense. Questions about his endurance and consistency against the run must be addressed, ensuring he can sustain performance levels through the grind of an NFL season. As pro teams dive deeper into Hall's tape, they'll find a player with the foundational traits of an impact defender. Quick hands, agile movement, and the relentless pursuit of the quarterback. Hall will be to harness these attributes consistently, enhancing his technique and situational awareness. If he can navigate these adjustments, Hall's transition to the NFL promises not just a roster spot, but a significant rotational role with the potential to develop into a cornerstone defensive lineman. So the range of outcomes is pretty big for Mike Hall, but the Browns look at that and they say, we think we can get the most out of this kid. And that's why they used a second-round pick to get him. So overall, I'm very excited to have Mike Hall, not just because he's a Buckeye. Yes, am I an Ohio State Buckeye homer? It's my alma mater. Of course I am. I love me some Buckeyes. But, Tommy Togiai wasn't pounding the table to keep him on the team just because he went to Ohio State. You've got to perform. Okay, I love where he came from. I love what he's projected to be able to do at the NFL. And the fact that the Browns have Jim Schwartz as defensive coordinator, you bring a talent like this onto a Jim Schwartz defensive line, look TF out. This kid, I believe, is going to be pretty damn good for the Browns. Maybe not this year because we talked about it on the live show Friday. The Browns are pretty much set. They're stacked at the defensive interior. And as we go through the prospects here that the Browns drafted, we took another defensive tackle at the end of the draft. So we'll get to him. But the fact is the Browns never feel like they have enough or, they just continue to strive for quality depth on the defensive line. And that's exactly what they attacked here in the draft. And that's exactly what they got. And the 2 defensive tackles they got are very opposite of each other in what they bring to the table. So again, strategic, intentional, very good moves by the Browns. And overall, very happy with the selection of Michael Hall at pick 54.